My name's Noah. I'm an alcoholic.
Hello, my name's Gabe, and I am a codependent. How's my screen look?
I hope. And you sound perfect.
Okay,
We sound perfect for once.
good.
Okay. And you look perfect, like always.
Thank you.
Okay, I guess I need to look at that one, not the delayed one.
Mm.
Okay, so let's start off with the Serenity Prayer.
Okay. God,
God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference.
Amen.
Amen. So today, topic is. Oh, there we go. Oops.
I did it
Okay,
again.
don't start it. We're gonna get feedback. Yeah, we're gonna get monetized or whatever.
Right.
Or demonetized.
Right.
Insanity is repeating the same mistakes and expecting different results. Basic text, page 23. I don't know out of what book, but mistakes. We all know how it feels to make them. Many of us feel that our entire lives have been a mistake. We often regard our mistakes with shame or guilt at the very least, with frustration and impatience. We tend to see mistakes as evidence that we are still sick, crazy, stupid, or too damaged to recover. In truth, mistakes are very vital and important part of being human. For particularly stubborn people, such as addicts, mistakes are often our best teachers. There is no shame in making mistakes. In fact, making new mistakes often shows our willingness to take risks and grow. It's helpful though. If we learn from our mistakes, repeating the same ones may be a sign that we're stuck, and expecting different results from the same old mistakes will. That's what we call insanity. It just doesn't work. Just for today, mistakes aren't tragedies, but please, higher power, help me learn from them.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta tell you right now, I've had lots of mistakes. Let me turn it back to us. But pretty Miss Sunshine over there acting like she's never had any mistakes.
I've made many mistakes, and I definitely agree with the concept of
Right?
mistakes grow us and change us. I mean, they enable us to change direction. It's like a mistake is a good pivot point. Without making the mistake, it's like, how do I know that I'm headed in the wrong direction? Um,
Right.
I have a couple things on this. One is the concept of insanity, so doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. I don't just apply this to mistakes, but I've found myself applying this concept a lot in recovery, as a codependent, seeking to get my needs met from things outside of myself, whether it's like people or things or processes or whatever. um, that's a really easy place to pick up on this pattern of, oh, I'm doing this again and again, and it's leading to the same feelings of disappointment or anger or sadness. So I use that a lot in recovery to try to, work my recovery, change my behavior, pick up on the patterns of, when I'm doing something that's just not serving me and I'm doing it over and over again because it's a habit. It's an old pattern, something that I've brought forward from, you know, childhood survival or whatever. Um, and I really enjoy finding those things and making the flip because it really changes things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I don't think we would know that sometimes we wouldn't know that we're doing the right thing in the first place if we didn't make those mistakes to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of is, it's almost a slap in the face when you go through it, even though you were told like not to do this, not to do that, or whatever. It's like, why didn't I just listen to him? Why couldn't I just, it's
Mm.
it's I don't know. Even that insanity can go down from generation to generation. You know, the
Mm-hmm.
older people are telling younger people not to do this because they've already made the mistakes,
Mm-hmm.
and
Right.
they're trying to help them. But
Right. Right. Well, like I mean, like our reading talks about stubborn people, particularly addicts, are often, um, we have to experience for it for ourselves. We're not
yeah,
likely to take somebody else's word for it. You know, maybe a little better in recovery, but not even always then. I think sometimes they still have to
mm-hmm.
make the mistakes, have the physical, tactile experience of the mistake and not just a verbal warning.
Right.
Um, my other thing on this, and what do you think about
Well,
that?
maybe that's because addicts have trust issues. You
Right.
know,
True. True.
'cause I sure know I do.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. The other thing I was thinking about in the concept of mistakes, and I think this would apply to a lot of addicts. How do you feel about the difference? For me, there's a big difference between like little mistakes and big mistakes. I feel like this reading for me applies really, really well to all the little things we do, oh, I signed up for college classes. I ended up like not really liking that major. I dropped out. I would consider that a mistake, you know, either first of all to enroll without really knowing that I had a passion for that, or dropping out and just like quitting the commitment. So there's mistakes like that where, like it's a pain. It's a pivot. It gave me information. Okay, that's great because I can make positive change on that. And then I feel like there's mistakes that yes, we can learn from them, but are so catastrophic in nature that it's really hard to feel like okay, this was, I learned from this and now I'm making a change and I'm moving in a different direction and that's good. It's really hard for me to say that about some things.
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot of us have made mistakes that ended a relationship, that hurt someone or made them sick or killed them. I mean, these things are not like you can't be like, oh, I made that mistake and now I'll change path and whatever. It's like that ship has sailed. Like you can't like, we can change ourselves and we can change our view of the incidents and forgive ourselves and do things differently maybe in the future with other people and other situations, but like sometimes it's just I don't know. I guess I have a hard time with what would that be? Like self forgiveness or acceptance, of some of the bigger things that go wrong in life. It's harder for me to be like, yeah, I learned a lesson. It's good. I'm changing. What do you think? Do you think there's levels of mistakes, or would you be like, a mistake's a mistake? You learn, you move on?
No, definitely level of there's different levels of mistakes, and the smaller ones I think you are so much easier to repeat over and over again.
Mm.
Like, oh, maybe if I just tweak it this way, then.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I was doing with my drinking.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to make it not a big mistake or
Mm-hmm.
something big, and trying to
Mm-hmm.
make it something small.
Mm-hmm. That's an interesting perspective. So you're saying that like a smaller mistake, you're less likely to pivot off of because, it's just small. Like the fallout
Right.
is not as bad. The collateral damage isn't as bad. So then it's like, do you really change something or do
Right.
you not change?
Mm-hmm.
And I guess you're right. The bigger mistakes are like, they force a change in one way or another, whether it's good, bad, or otherwise. But there's kind of like no negotiating with that once
Mm-hmm.
it gets to a certain level.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I can see the logic of that too.
And you were basically saying the opposite, right? The bigger changes are harder than
Yeah,
smaller.
not the opposite, just like a different way of looking at it, that I can appreciate smaller mistakes and benefit from them where the
Well,
larger
like, try
ones.
to come up with something. I need like some examples.
Well, my example was, like go for me, like I would consider a mistake like the 3 times I've gone back to college, all for different majors,
Those are kind of big.
and never
Those are, I
finished.
think those are
You
like
think
big.
those are
Yeah.
big?
Those aren't small. Like, oh, I sat on a pencil. Like, that's what I'm thinking of small. Like,
uh,
I overate today. Like, what
yeah,
went wrong? Something
yeah. Well, but the
I
college stuff is not, you know what I
forgot
mean?
to charge my phone last night. I'm thinking like small mistakes.
Okay. Well, maybe I'm working in like a mid-range because I don't even
Right.
notice, like, oh, I forgot to charge my phone. Like that almost doesn't even register.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I feel like, you know, me going back to school a bunch of times and not really ever being able to dial that in, and calling those mistakes,
Right. I
it,
mean, I think it's a huge life change though.
mm,
Me leaving college, that's huge. How is that
mm.
like that's what sorry, we're going getting way off topic of what's huge and
No,
what's not.
but you're just
But
saying it's a personal thing. It's going to depend on the situation. For me, like, nobody got catastrophically hurt because I signed up for college and quit a bunch of times. Like, it cost me a bunch of money.
right. But
Like,
if you would have went to college right when you would have gotten out of high school, then that would have been a completely different thing, right? It would have been a huge life changer. The fact that you decided not to go to college. That's not what you're looking at. That's not what you're thinking about. You're thinking
mm,
about like, oh, just the few times that I went to college. But what if you would have went to college,
mm-hmm.
finished it like right out of high school? Wouldn't that be huge? So therefore,
I
it's like a huge.
suppose, yeah.
It's almost like a huge mistake that you made that you didn't even know
Right.
that you said that you just kind of blew off.
Yeah. But it's getting into like what ifs because like then it's like, well, I didn't take that path. So if I did, I mean, would I have dropped out, at year 1, year 2? Would I have changed my major 6 times and never finished any degree, coming up with a really similar result to, like, um, yeah. Yeah. I guess I don't know. I don't know. But for you, I mean, you see that as bigger that you went to college and you dropped out.
Right.
Like,
Yeah. I think that would have been completely. I wouldn't be here.
right. Do you think that's a mistake that you did that?
I don't know.
Or do you
I
think,
mean, yeah. I guess there are really no mistakes if you think of it that way. You can't be. You can't go back.
right, right. Yeah. So, I mean, it's personal experience then. It's
Right.
perception, like, because you could say if you thought that a degree in your chosen field was the
Now we're getting
ticket
into
to
like
life.
philosophy or something, right? Aren't we?
Yeah. 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 I mean, I guess I'm just talking about mistakes that can be pivoted from and ones that can't. That's all I'm like talking about.
All right. Let's try to.
All right. You gonna
eh,
do reading?
Right.
Okay.
Yes, we
Clean
were.
the slate. Let's open up a new
Whew.
topic.
Open up a new topic, but kind of the same topic, probably. All
Probably.
similar, everything.
Right.
It's okay to be me.
It is.
Time after time, newcomers have tried to keep to themselves certain facts about their lives. They have turned to easier methods, but they had not learned enough humility. Alcoholics Anonymous, pages 72 to 73. Humility sounds so much like humiliation, but it really is the ability to look at myself and honestly accept what I find. I no longer need to be the smartest or dumbest or any other ist. Finally, it is okay to be me. It is easier for me to accept myself if I share my whole life. If I cannot share it in meetings, then I had better have a sponsor. Someone with whom I can share those certain facts that could lead me back to a drunk, to death. I need to take all the steps. I need the fifth step to learn true humility. Easier methods do not work. Dang, they just laid down the hammer that last sentence.
Right? Yeah, I like that. And it's related to our first reading because it's basically, like fourth and fifth step is
Right.
is owning all our mistakes and being okay with revealing them. And I don't know. I mean, like I'm kind of okay with that. I mean, it's embarrassing, I guess, like a lot of like my fourth step stuff, but I don't know. I don't know. I feel I don't know how to make sense of it. Like talking about things is easier than
Drawing them.
living them or living the results,
Yeah.
like
Talking about them is
yeah.
easier than have done them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Cuz I'm like,
Easier said than done.
Very true. Very true.
Oh man, I agree. It's a lot easier to have that workout done than it was to actually do it. That's when I think I'm gonna talk about racing. And this is kind of represents life or like something that you did. When you're running the race, it's super hard, and you're giving it your all or somewhat, and it sucks. But afterwards, after you see your time or see other people's times, you think, man, I could have did better, because you're thinking back at, you're not thinking about any of the negative things that were going on through that race. Oh, I had a rock in my shoe. Oh, I had this. Oh, I was feeling this. You don't think about any of that. All you do is think about the high of it, the excitement.
Yeah. I totally agree with that for experiences with a positive result. I mean, like, the classic example is like having a baby. Like, this is a horrible, very primitive experience.
And you just completely just forget
it when you have that like beautiful little person and like you're raising your kid and they're like amazing. You forget that like, oh my gosh, like I went through hell to like squeeze this person and a bunch of like goop and blood and shit and everything else out into the world. Like, you forget because the result is so wonderful. But all these readings are making me think of when you don't have the wonderful result. I'm thinking about like my abortion, that mistake. There is no, I mean, I can't look back and be like, oh, I really learned and I really pivoted. It's like there is a person that will never be here. I can't change that.
Yeah.
So it's
but
kind of bigger.
Still, if you went back into that same mindset, you wouldn't be able to talk that person into it. I mean, maybe you personally, if you would have had somebody like you in your life, but you didn't.
Right. Yeah. Well, you know what I mean. The concept of, like going through a race or childbirth and you have a great result, and
But
other
even
mistakes where you
I'm talking
don't.
about a race where you just suck and you want to do better. That's what
Oh,
I was talking about.
okay.
Being like, oh man, I could have did this. But in reality, you couldn't.
Okay. If I had just done this,
Right.
if I had tweaked it a little bit. Yeah. Yeah.
But what you can do is evaluate your training, and from that day forward, work towards your work at your weaknesses.
Mm-hmm.
If
Right.
my weakness is talking to people, then I need to, at meetings, talk more.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So you're talking about, like, using a negative experience or whatever to kind of identify where we need to work.
Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, it can definitely do that. And accepting ourselves while we're doing it, like accepting that, like, you know, it's okay to be me, that I'm not, like an evil and horrible person. Like, this is just my work.
Mm-hmm.
It's what I have to do.
Yeah.
You got another reading for us?
Yes, I do.
All right.
I would have you read, but I need to talk more.
Okay.
See that?
Do you have chat up, by the way? I don't have
Yeah.
the screen up. Okay.
Ain't nobody chatting with us. They don't want to. They don't want to get better here on YouTube.
Come and talk to us.
It's May 14th, right? That's what I've been reading from.
Yep.
Okay.
It's 12/12 on May 14th.
I was like thinking of the date. I was like, no, it isn't.
If it was 2 days ago, it'd be cool because then it'd be 12/12 on the 12th. Just read. Ignore me.
May 14th. AA. Thought for the day. Having gotten over drinking, we have only just begun to enjoy the benefits of AA. We find new friends so that we are no longer lonely. We find new relationships with our families so that we are happy at home. We find release from our troubles and worries through a new way of looking at things. We find an outlet for our energies in helping other people. Am I enjoying these benefits of AA? Now it's going to go meditation for the day. The kingdom of heaven is within you. God sees as no one can see what is within you. He sees you growing more and more like himself. That is your reason for existence, to grow more and more like God, to develop more and more the Spirit of God within you. You can often see in others those qualities and aspirations that you yourself possess. So also can God recognize his own spirit in you. Your motives and aspirations can only be understood by those who have attained the same spiritual level as you have. Prayer for the day. I pray that I may not expect complete understanding from others. I pray that I may only expect this from God as I try to grow more like him. Very good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's really good.
So, am I enjoying these benefits of AA? Yeah, I am. I love hanging out with. I wish everybody was in AA so that we could all be. It's crazy. You can't, and every time, I don't know. It's just weird when people at the meeting say you can't explain it to other people that are in AA. Like, why do you keep going? It's just I don't know. Because you can relate to these people so well.
Yeah, and they're very real, and we all have like a goal in common of recovery and sobriety. Um, and it just changes things. I think in the outside world, outside of our like meetings, people are after a lot of things, you know, money and security and sex and drugs and love and, you know, whatever, entertainment, comfort, you know. But I love the kind of single minded purpose
Mm-hmm.
in AA and Al Anon and NA and SA that, you know, we're just trying to improve ourselves and reduce our dependency, you know, on addictions or other
I know,
things.
I love it. What? My counselor's SA,
Mm.
my sponsor's NA, I'm
Mm.
AA.
Yeah.
It's like I get all the worlds.
Right. Right. Yeah. And
And I can
probably,
still relate to them.
right. Yeah. It probably shows you how universal recovery is, right?
Yeah,
Like,
definitely.
yeah. Yeah. I completely agree. Um, yeah. And I love the higher power stuff about, you know, reaching our spiritual potential and not expecting other people to understand and only God. You know, and you do find a lot of understanding in like AA and Al Anon and recovery groups. There is a lot of understanding, but I think nobody understands us in that 100% like deep level way like our higher power does.
I I hope that we get to give back. I'm looking forward to it.
Mm, yeah.
To people, to our community. You know, I really do want to get started our own group, and I hope that takes off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, God's timing is perfect, and we're in process. You know, some
Right.
days I feel really ready to help people and I feel like an encourager and I feel
Other days,
strong.
and other days,
Yeah.
I feel like I'm the user that's about to go back out.
Right. 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 Or at just like such like a low place that it's like I can't encourage anybody. Look at me. I'm just like a mess, you know.
Yeah. Until you go to a meeting and
Mm,
you're back.
right. Right. And there's people that offer me, you know, acceptance and support no matter how I'm feeling about my recovery.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really cool.
Okay. I do have one other thing to add to this. I do think fitness is and should be a big thing in recovery. That
Mm-hmm.
it's I don't know. Just like the meetings, I
Mm-hmm.
can't explain it.
Mm-hmm.
It just makes you feel awesome.
Mm. I completely agree. I mean, because the body is so integral to mental and emotional processes, and to ignore that connection, the health of our body and the wellness of it, to our mind and our spirituality and how we feel, um, I think just isn't going to work. And I mean, that I know that looks different for everybody because you're like, you know, like an elite racer person. Like a lot
I'm
of people are
trying.
not going to be at that level, but
Mm-hmm.
there's so many.
Right. Well, I want to help people. I want to help people try to get there.
Mhm. If that's what they want, but I mean, if they just want, you know, a 30-minute walk in nature every day,
Yeah.
or a yoga practice at home, or I don't know, hip hop dance in their living room, whatever, you know,
Or
anything
like
that kind
salsa with
of,
their wife.
right, right, that kind of awakens the body and connects it to the mind, you know,
Mm-hmm.
it's so
Yeah,
powerful.
I agree.
Word up.
Alrighty.
Should
That's it. I
we
read I read
wrap
everything.
up? Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see.
mm, 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 mm. I can see you thinking. Who makes the grass grow? Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever. Amen. Woo! Good job, babies!
See you next time. Stay clean, stay sober. You're gonna get pulled over and have to come into these meetings, and then who's laughing now?